My name is Eytan Buckman. I am the VP of Marketing here at Freightos, the online freight marketplace. And if you're building something amazing, you found the right place. I am really pumped to launch today Masters of Trade. Masters of Trade is a web series that we have been building and thinking about internally here at Freightos for a while now. Every time we tried to figure something out, we would go online and search for it, right? But when we found it, we never knew who wrote it. We never knew where it came from. You can't tell the difference between the haystack and the needle. So we decided, why not leverage our network, tap into the people that we know to bring some real serious masters of trade, people that can bring undistilled, proven information and walk us through how it helps them sell better. So here's the structure. Here's how it's going to go down. We're going to start every episode with a quick little interview, walk through 4 really actionable tips that help you become a better salesperson or create a better business. Run through some audience Q&As, and then let the master describe their business and how it helps. If you're not tuning into this live, you already missed one thing, so you better get on top of your act here. Head to freightos.com/masters and sign up so that you can get access to all the episodes and to bonus content. So I am really excited to welcome our first master of trade, Eytan Wiener. Yes, another Eytan. We are everywhere. We get things done. We kept on coming across Eytan. So we saw him in Hong Kong at a trade show speaking there. We ran into him 2 years ago at IRC in Chicago. This guy has built a $25 million company in just 6 years. He's been on the Inc. list more times than I've gotten parking tickets in the last 3 weeks, and that's really impressive. So Eytan, welcome to Masters of Trade, man.
Thank you, Eytan. Other Eytan for the kind words. Really happy to be here on this first episode. It's been nice to see your team also over the years at different events as you guys grow. So I'm really excited to be the first speaker. I'm pumped. Yep.
Awesome. So I mean, we had some time to talk yesterday for me to catch up on who you are, where you've come from. I know you started in dental school and now you're you. What's that journey? What happened? How did you make that transition? What's the deal?
Good question. Yeah, I'll try to keep this one short because it's a little lengthy. I did start in dental school. I didn't really love it. I'm sure some of my professors would like to see this now because we have the best relationship. But yeah, it wasn't for me. I got into online marketing. I started with SEO and PPC and that kind of stuff for a year. Worked for an agency, and then I kind of accidentally fell into e-commerce, not intentionally. But learning all of what I knew about online marketing and lead gen, I kind of applied that to e-commerce, and this was in 08, 09 when e-commerce was easier. I built a Magento website on my own. We started sourcing some niche products that had really good value, not so much online representation, smaller companies that didn't really know what they were doing. We were doing the typical, online lead gen methods, video and SEO and things like that before Google got more complicated. And we quickly grew from a few hundred K to a few million just on the website. And after that, we weren't competing on price. We were selling good value, good customer service, drop shipping, low overhead. Then we kind of got into the whole Amazon game. And once we did that, we grew significantly. As you know very well, Amazon's not a jungle or rainforest, whatever they say, or river. But yeah, Amazon allowed us to grow even more, and I'm talking about Amazon in every country, so starting with the US, Canada, UK, now they're opening Australia. So we took a lot of the good pricing that we had on the products we sold, and we started selling on Amazon. But once we sold on Amazon, just the sheer volume of visitors and audience is tremendous, so you can really sell anything. So honestly, over the years, we've tried many things, from arbitrage to sourcing to end of life to refurbished. Fast forward to now, we have 3 divisions in our company. The first is the typical high-end resale of brands on Amazon and other channels, including our website, bluecoil.com. And we have a division that does more up-and-coming brands, brands that are recently funded that really need help getting the word out. So we have some exclusivities with these brands. And then the third part is our own Blue Coil branded products that we complement with existing products, and we make some of our own new products. So that's what Quantum is today, 5-6 years later. And right now I'm at Tradeport, as you see the sign. So I got involved with Tradeport through working with them, and we'll get to that in some of the questions. but
Cool.
Tradeport's a reverse logistics outsourced company up here in New Hampshire. So we'll talk about that as we go on, but basically we handle companies' full return solutions, FBA removals, resell them, return to vendor, all that outsourced.
Wow, that's a lot to juggle.
I'm also on the Prosper Show board, which is another
We
reason
love
I know
Prosper.
you, which is why I
Yeah,
know you,
we
and
did the
everyone should
Prosper
come.
wedding there.
But
Yes.
it's all about the community networking, which we'll get to in your questions.
Cool. Wow. So that's a lot to juggle. I know just dealing with stuff at Fredos keeps me busy. So I don't know how you juggle 16 different things. You just mentioned right now you started with SEO and PPC back when it was a little bit easier, I guess a little bit easier to get the ball rolling. You said you were selling on Amazon pretty early on. Those are all like gold rush stuff, right? Like now everybody and their mom, my mom optimizes her business cards for SEO, right? And like just like everybody does everything on Amazon. How do you feel like you like identified that early on? Like what was the sign that brought you to SEO?
Good question. I was thinking about it actually before this whole gold rush and things like that. I think it's just like a theme that I've learned. No one's a prophet, no one knows what's going on, but it's about constantly pivoting and like kind of understanding what's going on in the ecosystem. Always like questioning what you're doing and how and why. So again, we started a website, that was cool, got a lot of traffic, the acquisition cost was high. Amazon was kind of newer then, but like I like to try everything, at least give it a shot, and I'm very into that, even if it fails. A lot of things fail, most things fail, but you have to have the guts to try. And when you try and try, you kind of see some of the trends. So it's not like, oh, I scratched off a lucky lottery ticket and oh, I hit on Amazon early. It's because I tried, Rakuten and eBay and every other channel that failed miserably and found one that worked because we had the right selection and things like that. But it's kind of, as far as tips is concerned, it's foolish to think that, oh, you could just hit it off. It's a lot of hard work and effort, a lot of failure. And then through that, constantly pivoting, questioning what you're doing. Is it worth it? What about the overhead? What about the consolidation?
Right.
Seeing trends in the market and jumping on them. And then if some of them stick and some of them you have to just cut and really, especially in this tech world, really quickly pivot. As you know, a lot of your Amazon sellers,
Right.
like the market changes every day, the rules change every day. So I've learned to do that, I guess, through this. It's not luck, it's just a lot of hard work and perseverance and pivoting.
So you probably got to be really disciplined to like look at something that you've been working on and just like slice it, right? Just like to like have an idea that you're trying, you're messing around with it, it's not working. Like, is that hard to kill your babies? Like, is that hard to like take something that you built and kill it?
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a lot of babies that don't make it, unfortunately, and it is hard. But I view it as a learning experience. Like, they say, it's not about it's about the journey, not the destination, which is true, because through all those things I've learned a ton, or I met people like you through the way, or others. We have other divisions that I didn't mention that are doing okay or totally flopped.
Right.
But through all those divisions and efforts, you learn so much about business and people and the world and how to handle yourself that you're poised to, strike gold, to your point, as you go on. So, they say the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Gotcha.
Because you have to really just go through it, and you have to fail a lot and get back stronger. So it's not easy. It's not free. It's not going to fall in your lap. But if you persevere and accept failure and constantly pivot, you'll be great. There's no reason you can't.
Also, so like another thing that I was thinking about, I started off mentioned earlier on that like we keep on running into you, and every time we speak to people, they're like, oh, have you spoken to Eytan Wiener? But like I know like you network a lot and you just like get out there. You said you're involved with like Prosper, you're involved with a lot of different things. I mean, I'm sure that like does a lot for your business, but doesn't that create a tremendous amount of overhead? Like, isn't that a lot of work just to network without seeing what the ROI is? Like, how do you decide like when to say no to a networking opportunity?
Good question. Does it create a lot of overhead? Yes and no. I think all the things, even Tradeport, all the things that we've done, like here we needed a return solution, we found a company that we got involved and invested in and grew that. It's based on constantly going to trade shows, constantly speaking to people, constantly networking. And to your question, like networking is not just about meeting you and telling you about everything I do and why I'm so cool or not or different. It's really, I would say the opposite. It's more about listening. So I'll meet you at a show and you tell me all about Fredos and this whole cool, China optimization, and then I learn, I try to add value to my ecosystem, your ecosystem. So even if nothing ever happens between us, maybe I can give you an intro, or maybe you could point out one or two things. And if you have that mentality, like how can I help someone else, usually comes back. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. But it's just about listening, understanding, and to your point of deciding, there's a million opportunities out there. Just because it's opportunity doesn't mean it's the right one. My opinion is to just try to choose the ones that kind of are in your arena, right? If someone offered me a real estate opportunity, that's not really what I do. I can look at it, I can advise, I just don't understand it. But whether it's logistics or e-commerce and everything that springs off of it, it kind of makes sense because you already know how to do that based on what we've been doing. So
yeah, I think that's like a really interesting observation. The fact that it's like BD, I guess it's also like sales. Like when you're talking to a prospect, you're talking to a potential partner, it's so much more important to listen. I think that's like a really interesting insight, and something that,
as you can see, I like to talk a lot, so I'm learning to listen. It's hard because I have a lot of energy, but sometimes I write stuff down just to make sure I'm listening. But through it all, and even in this conversation, just listening to you as well, like that's key. And then you see what are the synergies, or maybe I could introduce you to someone else, things like that. So it's super important, networking. Don't feel like you don't have the time to do it, because there's always time. You could do a Skype call, or you can go to a trade show, or you can go to dinner with someone. To sit in your basement and read every blog and think you'll be the master of e-commerce, or just watch this webinar, you'll definitely be okay and decent. But you just won't have certain abilities or connections because you just never showed up. Whether it's getting up 4 in the morning on a plane or going to China, it's important. Cost aside, you'll see the money back if you really put in the effort. And furthermore, it's about following up. So I met you at a show. Okay, so what's the follow-up? 2 years later, we're doing this and other things, and we work together. But if not, like, you have to your point, you have to measure the ROI on the networking, because maybe it is too expensive to fly out and not learn anything.
All right, so
and you have to report that internally.
All right, cool. So if anyone's listening, guys, get out of your chairs, get out there, go talk to people, provide value. I want to move on. We asked Eytan to come up with a couple of really actionable tips that you guys can write down and use to make your business take off. Eytan, I'm going to pass the microphone over to you, and you walk us through what your 4 big tips are to really help people improve their business.
The first one's a bit high level, but I think important, and it's kind of how do you e-commerce and selling online, how do you decide what to sell online, or whether it's a sourcing play, what are you sourcing, how does that work? So as I explained, for us, we saw a big void. The market's changed, but when we started, a lot of these tech products didn't have a web offering. Even today, there's so many B2B products, higher-end manufacturing products that are not online, catalogs, apparel, plumbing stuff. It's a lot of work and people are doing it, and that's kind of where the Alibaba and Amazons of the world are going. But if you take a lot of that old school data that's not digitized and you list it online, it will sell, because everything is going online. As we know, retail is going away, whether you like it or not, and online is just increasing and increasing. There's so many more sectors that haven't been penetrated yet. So sourcing is great, and you can go to China and make another Bluetooth speaker or something that everyone else does, and you can make a lot of money. You could also lose a lot of money. But there's so many sectors that haven't been touched. I feel one, like what I said, a lot of these niche industries or old school, supplies, plumbing, jewelry, not really jewelry, but catalog-based stuff is so ripe for that. And there's a lot of automated tools now that exist to help you parse this data and create listings and web pages based on that data. People will start buying that online. They're not going to go to whatever stores are left, whether it's hardware or even the stores that do remain, whether it's food, whatever it is, it's all online. So there's so many industries that you could be the first one to take it there, which I think we did with this niche tech space. And since then, it's evolved. But again, I wouldn't have been selling all this stuff and understanding until I started there and failed on other things. So that's my first tip. Try to find things that are not online yet and just go with it. And Fredos can help you source it, and other tools can help you optimize it. But I kind of just thought a little bit about it now, but I see it everyday companies, people who come to me with old school companies that just don't know how to take the next step, and they usually go out of business.
So
Um,
do you feel like there's still more industries like that? Like I feel like so many things are like already there. It's saturated.
yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's so many. I mean, you could look at on the flip side, you could look at Alibaba or some B2B platforms and see the products that are being sold. You know, people are buying containers of pillows and feathers and like really random stuff. But I don't know, like the other day we were buying, my wife and I were getting um, hardware or what is it called, knobs for our like a wall unit. And you Google it, yeah, you have some Home Depot listings, but like no one's doing a good job. Every picture, every photo. But you go to a showroom in the city or in Brooklyn and it's beautifully displayed. Th that conversion is difficult and expensive, but someone will find you. It's easier to list it on Amazon perhaps, or maybe your own site, and you'll be the king of that domain. There's so many. I mean, I can go all day of it's gonna dry up because just like retail, you know, became everything so online. But until it does, over the next 10 years, I mean, you could own a space, and even if you're just part of that space, I mean, there's so much commerce that's not being addressed, and these
Cool.
millennials are buying it online, so you have to just show up. Not easy, but show up, you'll make the sales.
Cool.
That's
All
my
right,
first
number
tip.
two. Let's do it.
Number
Number
two.
two.
Number two is we were discussing this. We're going to speak a little more about Amazon based on the audience and tech stack that we use. So this is not really just a tip. This is just, I guess, from a lot of years of experience and good software, bad software, mediocre software. Just kind of, I'm going to give you guys an overview of what we use for Tradeport or for Quantum, as far as that to help, and also what people need to get started, right? Let's say you haven't done this before, or you're thinking about it. What do you need? So one of the biggest is multi-channel software. We use Cubana. We've used others in the past, but the point is multi-channel software. You could sell the same product on an infinite amount of channels. You could sell it in China, you could sell it in the UK, you could sell it in Amazon, you could sell it on eBay, Newegg, Walmart, Sears, Magento, Shopify. You will not be, I did it in the past manually until these softwares existed. I mean, Channel Advisor existed, that's more of a listing tool, but you will not be able to manage the plethora of channels and integrations unless you have a software where everything's married together. You could do it, you could use spreadsheets, that's great, but it's not efficient. Similar
Mhm.
to what you guys do with shipping. You could contact a broker and a warehouse and a this and that, or you could have someone that does it all together. Sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's less, but you're saving a lot more time, and that allows you to grow your business. So multi-channel software is like super important. Listen, if you're just starting and you want to sell on Amazon or a website, that's fine. Once you get a little bigger, as we know, some channels are bigger than others, but there's always newcomers. So why not have the ability to sell that same product everywhere and anywhere? You can do it. It's not magic. It's software. That's multi-channel. One thing I often speak about is outsourcing stuff that you're not good at, you don't want to do. So just like shipping and freight forwarding, importing. Freightos has a online platform where you could just get instant quotes. It's like buying an airline ticket. I used to
I'm
do.
blushing. I'm blushing,
I used
Eytan.
to. I used to. Yeah, we've used it for different scenarios. We still in often cases, depending on the factory and who we source from or what country, it's probably like 6, 7 different people involved, from the factory, as I said, to the broker, to the import in the US, then things get stuck in customs, pricing, invoicing. Really nice to have everything together. So I think you guys are doing for shipping and importing what multi-channel software does for expanding, and that's huge. And you have those two together as you guys integrate and continue. That's wonderful. Um, so that's on the importing side. Give you guys a shout out, but 3PL in general, outsourcing logistics. So you're the shipping part of logistics. What about the storage side? We used to have storage in our own office in Midtown because we usually drop shipped, and eventually we got returns. We know what we were doing. We once had a customer write on reseller ratings that our company is a scam because who else in the world would ship out of Midtown Manhattan? That's the most expensive real estate in the world. And it was funny but true. I mean, obviously then there's things like FBA and 3PL, but before then we were literally in our own. I used to pack boxes and stuff them in all the mailboxes in Times Square, flat rate boxes, because we couldn't afford to pay for the pickups. And that's how we started. But the point is,
Jeff,
when you grow,
I think Jeff Bezos started packing books in his
yeah,
garage.
yeah, we literally stuffed up all the Times Square mailboxes with flat rate boxes because that was the cheapest way, and we want to pay for a pickup.
I love it.
And you're really not supposed to do that, I learned, but we did it for a bit. And eventually we rented a warehouse, and now we use an outsourced third-party warehouse where they do all the shipping. We monitor it, but it integrates with their systems, it flows, it's cheaper, and it's cheap. You can scale very quickly, and the best part is you can focus on what you're doing. You don't have to worry about logistics. And on the flip side, another stack tool is reverse. So we had such a huge returns problem, so many returns on Amazon's policy is so light on returns, and we found actually Tradeport as a solution provider for that. We really liked what they were doing, and we really helped them and are continuing to help grow and invest in the business, helping sellers with their returns management, resell, repair, refurbish, return to vendor, all that stuff you just don't want to do, and the stuff that kills your margin, which I see every day.
What about like PPC research? I mean, like research, PPC?
Yeah, I have a couple more. So repricing, super important. App Eagle, use App Eagle. There's FeedAdvisor, there's a ton. It's very important to automatically or somehow consolidate your price control because pricing changes every second. There was an article the other day how Amazon's changing your pricing without telling you. So it gets very messy, and that's kind of beyond. But it's important to have a repricer. So we said multi-channel software, outsource logistics, a freight provider, repricing, customer support, super important. We use Excelco has a product called Fusion, which just like Skubana does for orders, this takes in all of your customer tickets from every single channel and manages your returns and complaints and feedback, so you don't have to log into 17 sites and emails. Super important, gives you metrics, things like that. Jungle Scout is cool for research and ranking and understanding that. You mentioned ads. We're playing with some ad tools for Amazon. Amazon ads are huge now, but their platform is quite primitive, and they know that. It's way behind Google, yet the spend is up there. So there are some new guys on the market. There's Celix. There is Seller Labs has a program that we're using also. I'm blanking on the name, but those are important once you kind of get your feet more wet in the ads and monitoring it. Again, without that, you're just manually doing stuff. Right. So that's my stack shout out thing.
I guess before we move on, I know we're running a little short on time, but like, what do you look for when you're looking for a new platform? Because there's so many out there, right? Like, like for Skubana, is it because you know Chad Rubin? Like, how do you decide which company how do you decide like which company to use, which platform to use? Because I know there's so many out there. And a lot of people talk.
No, it's a good question. I do know Chad. Hello, Chad. He's on the board of Prosper, and we're buddies. But that's not why I use Skubana. I use Skubana because it makes sense for me. And to answer your question, it's a great question. I must have evaluated, 20, 30 programs. I've used ones before that were great. Some were bad. Some were awful. Some were in between. And I learned from that. And then I evaluated. You have to try it. You have to do a trial. You have to do a test. And I also believe in the 80-20 rule, where hopefully off-the-shelf software could do 80% of what you want. But there's always 20% where it's going to be custom or tweaked. And Skubana has open APIs, and other softwares do too. So you need that. If you don't have that, you're kind of married to it. It's always it's too binary. You could build a custom solution, that's great too, but it's very expensive and tedious. So why not take what's out there that works for everyone, and then you could reinvent the wheel on your nuanced practices. I'm a big believer in that.
Cool. All right, I cut you off. What's your tip number 3? Right, we're up to.
Yeah, well, tip number 1 was 2 because it was like what to sell online and how to source. So the final one is we spoke about common mistakes sellers make just briefly, and I alluded to all these in the same theme. The first one, ironically, is actually too many channels. So it's good to sell on many channels, but your website, Amazon, should be the biggest to focus on. If you're going to put a lot of time into eBay and some of these others, that's great, but what are you getting out of it? If you spend 40 hours of work building listings in some more primitive environments, what's the point? You have to focus on what's good and not take on too many. Once you're able to scale that and measure that, take on more. To that point of taking on more, doing everything by yourself. I used to do, me and my partner John, and we used to do like everything and anything from, packing boxes to negotiating to shipping to finance, and like thank God now we've grown, and it's been a bit hard for me to learn how to delegate. It's one thing to do, it's one thing to give it over. To teach is a different skill than to do, and to trust people and enable. So we try to hire we have a really great team, thank God, at Quantum and Tradeport, people who try to hire people who are smarter and better than you at things and let them do it, because you can't do everything in a day, as you guys know. So that's really important as you start. Another two things I wrote were, one another is outsourcing. So yeah, another is outsourcing. So yeah, do what you can. That's good. But if Freightos is good for this, or if someone overseas is great for content writing and it's more affordable, great. You should have a good team and you should have internal tools, but you should outsource the things that are not core. I don't believe in outsourcing the things that are core. Like I wouldn't have a buyer or a marketing person out of our office because they don't get it. They don't understand what's going on. It's communication super important, and that's like the team component. So you could also mess up that way by outsourcing the wrong role. But if you outsource the right roles, being the things that are not necessarily menial, but less core to what you do, you'll wind up saving money, working faster, and empowering your people and not overloading them. And the last one, that was the last one.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we're huge fans of outsourcing the stuff that's kind of, you feel like, just gets repetitive. Like, we're big believers in Upwork, big believers in Fiverr when we need to. And I think that kind of connects with what you started with, like the networking aspect. Not only do you have a huge network to find the right people to outsource to, you can like validate the people without actually spending money or throwing important things to them if you know that somebody in your network already used them. So I think
yeah,
that
100%.
Right?
100%. Even with Fiverr and Upwork, like there's a science to finding the right people. What country are they from? Like you could waste a lot of time in trusting it. So you have to know who uses who, and it's constantly learning and understanding and researching and forums and blogs and trade shows. But yeah,
absolutely cool.
It's not just outsourcing. You have to know how to do it and learn how to do it, and even go overseas and see who you're working with. It's super important.
Right. Yeah, cool. So, I mean, let's turn it a little bit over. We asked some people when they signed up to submit questions. We got a bunch of them. People were excited to hear from you and people to talk. I think the first one probably says it all, right? Like the first person that reached out to us just said, this isn't a question, but you're my role model. So just passing it on.
I'm blushing.
I'm waiting to get the same. I'm waiting to get. Oh, there's like a black.
Well, you're Eytan too, so maybe they meant you. Maybe
I know.
Confused. Yeah.
That's what I assumed. But all right, let's move on to the next question. And I think this is it's a really good question because I actually don't know anything about this. Like, what do beginner sellers need to know about inventory management? Like, what did you miss out? What do you wish you had known in the earlier days about like the basics, the 101 about inventory management?
That's a great question. This was kind of going to be one of my tips on the finance side. It's setting up finance properly at the beginning, but so too with inventory. Initially when we started selling, we didn't have any SKU structure. It's very important to have the same SKU, or item number, UPC, all that data very clean when you start. If you just start selling a lot and you think you're killing in holiday season and all your data is off, yeah, you'll make a lot of sales, but you'll really have a hard time understanding profitability or anything. Because all the data is fragmented. So you want to have inventory, even if you have one location or 20 locations, there's a way to map it and do it. And a lot of these softwares that I mentioned do that for you. But you want to make sure you have a catalog that's consistent. There's your SKU number, there's a manufacturer's number, they should match. Sometimes you send an order and the manufacturer has a different number, there's bundles. It gets very messy. It's really important to consult with someone when you start if you plan on doing it right. And there's a lot of softwares that do it, but you really need one. You can't just use spreadsheets if you want to grow, in my opinion.
Okay. Cool. And I just want to say we're getting a bunch of questions getting sent in right now. This got people excited. Since we're not going to have time to go through everything, we'll try to speak to Eytan afterwards, and we'll get some answers for you guys. Going forward in these other episodes, please go to our website, submit your questions in advance so that we can prioritize right. Let's shift on to the next question. So, Quantum keeps on growing. How do you consistently maintain sales growth? Like, what is it that helps you keep on building? Like, is it trying things new? Is it just like slow iteration? Yeah. What is it?
It's a good question. I mean, thank God we grow. We grew a lot over that period that you mentioned and got those awards, and that was great. Although, just to be more realistic, that doesn't mean you're always making money. That doesn't mean you're doing it right. I'm more interested in. I think most should be interested in profit and not revenue, because as you grow quickly, there's a lot of holes in the bucket. As you get more mature, and we're still learning every day, tremendous amount, and as things constantly change, and you don't know what you don't know until you learn it, right?
Mhm.
unknown unknowns. You learn that, okay, we can do less sales this year, which we may, but we made more profit and we know what we're buying and why we're doing it. So yeah, growth is important, but profit's more important, unless you're
Yeah.
just in this for fun. You want to make money too, and it's important. The fun is also important. But to answer your question on how to continue to grow, it's based on what I said initially of always looking for new things, pivoting, looking for complementary product lines, accessorizing, bundling. I mean, always changing the game a bit or learning best practice from others and trying to do that. It's about good people too. It's about delegating and outsourcing. If you can't do that, you can't grow. If you're in your warehouse packing and you're writing all the content, how are you going to find more products? How are you going to go
Right.
network? So I think if you implement a lot of the things I said, your sales should grow, assuming you do even some of those correctly. And if they don't, and you just work on your profit, or you understand where you want to be in sales, that's fine too. Are you trying to sell your company? Are you just trying to make a living and pay your employees? It's really um, a variable question,
Right.
but that's my opinion.
Cool. Okay, cool. And then I think this last one was my favorite question that we got here. Uh, like, what was the biggest mistake you made while scaling your business? Like, what do you wish you had not done, and would like want to get like docs, like car from Back to the Future, and go back and change?
um, Good question. What was the biggest mistake you made while scaling? Definitely a lot of mistakes. The biggest mistake?
It could be a big one. It doesn't need to be the
Yeah,
biggest.
yeah, yeah. No, no. Oh, there's a lot of big ones. I'm trying to think of the biggest though. Um, a big mistake. I think I may have also alluded to um, earlier in this episode. Um, I think I speak about this a lot as well. Hiring
Hmm.
the right people versus hiring the wrong people. Um, Trying to find the right people. We spend a lot of time trying to find good talent. So when you grow, sometimes you just, you need people, you need bodies, and great, and let them do a good job. But it's important to understand who you're hiring, what value they add, what their
Hmm.
priorities are. We have a lot of young, aggressive people. A lot of people in our company start when they're still in college and they're interns. We kind of mold them to think and act like we do, and in a good way. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of times we brought on people who had a lot of experience, but they kind of had their own way of doing things, different type of chemistry, and that's fine. But
Right.
it has to gel with your environment. If it doesn't, it's problematic. So I don't know if that was the biggest mistake, but often we've had situations where there's not the right chemistry in the team because people have their own way or are not team players. And
Right.
we're all about team playing and helping each other and growing and rewarding and things like that. So that's something I learned the hard way, that HR is super, super important, and having the right people and hiring smarter people and delegating is super important. So
Yeah.
I know I
That's
mentioned it
that's really.
before, but I can't stress it enough. Like you have to really spend time finding good people and
Yeah.
evaluating them and managing them tightly and reevaluating to make sure you're all growing together.
Yeah, I think that's because I guess finding the right hire is simultaneously either the biggest mistake you make or the best opportunity out there. So yeah, I
100%.
totally get that. Cool. So I know that we're running a little bit over time. Eytan, take some time. Tell us about quantum networks. Tell us about Tradeport, whichever one you really prefer, or both, and tell our viewers how it can help them.
Sure. Yes, I spoke about Quantum a little in the beginning and also Tradeport. So, and I mentioned what Quantum does. We resell brands. We also have exclusives on up and coming cool brands. We also have a more of an agency model where we we represent large brands instead of a buy sell. It's more of a rev share model where we do all the listings and the content and things like that, and the Amazon ads. We kind of learned how to do it the hard way as I spoke, and we kind of do it for these brands, for a percentage fee versus a purchase. Some of the smaller brands we work with need the purchasing and they're growing, so we do that for them as well. That's kind of what Quantum does. Tradeport, which where I'm at now, is super interesting. Um, just very briefly, we had an issue with returns, as I said before. We found Tradeport. They were in IT disposition, selling computers and IT stuff from schools and all these different places, getting them, repairing them, selling them online. That was more of a unique proposition. Then now it's quite competitive, but there's not that many there's not that many providers that are, let's say, serving mid-sized businesses. So Quantum is a client of Tradeport, and they do everything for us on the reverse logistics side. So anything that has to be returned to a vendor, which is tedious, they handle that process. Anything that has to be resold online and tested and refurbished, because you can't sell, broken items on eBay or Amazon, you'll get your account suspended. They'll do that for us. We also work closely with different Amazon sellers to receive their FBA removals. We could prep and refurbish stuff for Amazon Renewed to add more value. So it's a real full outsource reverse logistics company, and it's growing tremendously. And we've not only invested our time, but some of our funds into the growth, along with a private equity group called Echelon Partners. And yeah, we're really seeing a lot of growth. It's a very big pain point for sellers. So it's an easier sale because everyone wants to help. And now we're trying to handle a lot of the growth and the demand and really get better at how we do things and the software and the systems, which I work on actively. So,
very cool. I see the website's tradeportusa.com. So anybody listening over there, this is Eytan Wiener. He's the guy that got to SEO first, got to Amazon first. Reverse logistics is the next one. So when he talks about it, you're going to want to listen up.
Yeah, the next gold rush. It's actually the reverse gold rush, but there's a lot of gold there, so let Tradeport help you with that.
It's how you send the gold back.
Exactly.
Amazing. All right, Eytan, thank you so much for your time. This has been really, really interesting, really, really fun chatting with you here. We really appreciate it. For everybody listening, sign up for the entire series at freightos.com/masters. We have some really, really cool guests lined up, including people from the companies that Eytan actually mentioned when he was talking about his tool stack. We'll be sending out the recording. We'll be sending out some bonus content afterwards. Thank you so much. Eytan, thank you again. This was awesome hearing some actionable stuff directly from a master of trade, and we look forward to running into you again at trade shows down the line.
My pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.